Ruby Tui, welcome to the Sports Agents.
Hello, my friend. I'm only here because you're so cool.
Well, it's only me here today, sadly, because my co-host Mark is in New York getting ready for the Ryder Cup. So I've got you all to myself, which is great because normally I have to share you with Maggie and Simon. People in this country knew you, but do you feel over the last few weeks they've got to see the real Ruby Tui? And are you feeling the love when you kind of wander out and about on the streets?
Oh well, gosh, I hope they've seen the real Ruby too. He's not, and they haven't seen any of those fake ones around here because I find them. Mate, it's been so cool, and I really have. When I was driving yesterday through the city, and I was like, man, I actually like this place. Like, I would never admit that when I was playing England all the time. I was like, man, it's actually grown on me. Like I have felt a lot of love, and I think the main way I've felt that is through just the support of this Rugby World Cup. Every single live game I've gone to is basically, if not, been a sellout, and everyone's just been so wonderful, so kind, and there's no demographic. It's like they're all women or they're all men. It's every kind of age, everything you can imagine. It's just been so wonderful. I'm so impressed by England right now.
It's a really positive experience, isn't it, going to these matches? It really, and you come away feeling so kind of hopeful and so joyous, and the sport has been good, and we kind of finally saw England tested last weekend. We're going to get on to what you think about the final, but let's just talk about a bit more about you because you have a really powerful story, Ruby, which you document in your book, and how, as a lot of the stories we've seen, a lot of VTs, haven't we, through this World Cup of players where rugby has really changed their lives, and they found it at a time when they felt despair and hopelessness, and you were in a similar position in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to talk about these things because obviously for me, that's just my life and that's just what happened and it's kind of all I knew. So yeah, I find it kind of like, oh yeah, no, that happened to me and that's how my life was. And I guess it wasn't until writing the book and sharing it, I realized like, oh, that probably might not actually happen to everyone. Not everybody goes like that, but that's the beauty of sharing, because there are some people that can absolutely connect. There are some people that can go, oh, I can't even connect to that at all. That's so different to me. But if anything, difference is this funny thing of like connecting us because you're gonna have some kind of reaction to it because it is so different. So yeah, I'm super glad I ended up writing that book. I just think writing a book about yourself was just the worst thing. Like no one would ever want to read it or anything. But it ended up completely selling
Because
out.
you
And
talked about the domestic violence that you experienced around your family, and
yeah,
and how rugby became an escape for you, somewhere that you could find joy and have some sense of achievement that you just couldn't access anywhere else.
yeah, absolutely. Like sports was just such this amazing thing because to me, once you crossed the white line, it was the absolute equalizer. It didn't matter where you came from, what you'd been through. If you played well, that was the fact. Like you played well. So yeah, mum had to. We ended up having to kind of leave in New Zealand. There's a charity who I still work with all the time today called Women's Refuge, and women that were being abused through domestic violence could go there and kind of escape, and no one knows the address. The address is never talked about. So ended up there kind of I think I was about the first year of high school. I didn't attend a lot in the beginning of that year. So yeah, it was a crazy adventure and it was actually massive for me and my mum. She kind of didn't know how to feel about it, but when we talked about it and I showed her what I'd written and she actually realized in my eyes she was my hero for doing something so brave. I didn't realize, but I'd never sat her down and gone, I saw you as the hero of my childhood, and she'd never thought of herself as being the hero in that situation, but she absolutely was. Like what I seen her, she had to like grab all our bags, sneak everything out. The woman's refuge lady come around and told her what to grab, like things that you don't think of, like two forms of ID, a proof of address, like things like that, to kind of absolutely get out of everything you're locked into. So man, it was like super life changing, and to me in a positive way. But she didn't realize that. So that was massive. And then yeah, sports was always you get to be a part of a team. You, no matter what, you turn up on that sports field, you're a valued member of that team, which in my world, a team is kind of the closest thing you get to a second family. You're just surrounded by, they've all got quirks, and you're not best friends with all of them, but you've got to have their back. And then rugby on top of that, like in life, people say, "Yeah, I support you, I've got your back," but it might just be liking something on social media. In rugby, there's people that are willing to break their arm for you, put their body completely on. Like you don't need to talk about how much they have their back. They literally will break their back for you, and I am for them. It's this huge gesture of absolute carelessness for safety and well-being for you, for their teammates. So I love rugby so much.
And in terms of what it meant for you to all the things that you'd done to actually win a World Cup at home, in front of, obviously a nation that loves its rugby. It's the number one sport. So you weren't having to win over people to rugby like a lot of the Red Roses have kind of felt they've had to do with women's rugby, because rugby does play second fiddle to football in this country. Did did that feel more than just sport? Did it feel like you were, culturally helping to shift the dial in terms of the way women were perceived in society?
Yeah, I've been to, I feel like a lot of sporting events, like Sevens World Cup, been to a couple of Olympics, won gold at the Olympics, and I kind of, that's pretty good in sport. But to win a Rugby World Cup when I love rugby so much at home, I just don't think anything will ever compare. It's just the most amazing. Like I can still feel it right now. Like it's just the most super thing. But the key to that whole experience, right, is that your home nation comes out for you. And Eden Park, numbers wise, nowhere near Twickenham. Nowhere near Allianz Stadium. But
Well done.
but at home, that's the place that history is made. That's where we do everything we do, and if you get it right, you sell it out like that. And the fact that New Zealand sold it out, and there was the thing I couldn't get over. There were so many young people, so many kids going like, and that's them. They get that memory forever. Like I wish I had a memory like that. So to give the country that, and for the country to go, we support you, we're here with you. It was life changing, and I think that's why I'm so excited for the Red Roses. The last time they got this chance was 15 years ago, 2010, at Twickenham Stoop. I think 13,000 people came out, and I was literally standing there the other day looking around, and it didn't look like 13,000 on TV. It looked like far less. And I turned around, and you can see Allianz Stadium in the distance, like when you're standing side of the pitch. And I was
Mm,
like, whoa, it's taken 15 years.
mm.
Now the Red Roses get to play over the road, over there, completely sold out. And I have to go for Canada because my entire pundit team is all going for the Red Roses. But like, I am
We do
so
have we do have Leslie McKenzie coming on.
sick of it.
Who's the Japan coach who played for Canada. So don't worry. I know last week you accidentally wore red and white. Let's not talk about that. So I know you've got a soft spot for the Red Roses, and you'll know what it means to them to win a home World Cup. But just a little bit more on your story and how you connect with people, because you managed to get that sellout crowd at Eden Park to sing a Maori folk song at the end of the game, which, as I say, in terms of unifying cultures, unifying the sexes, doing something like that, from the outset, that takes enormous bravery to just go, come on, let's sing this. Did you have that kind
Yeah.
of preordained? Were you thinking, I'm going to do this if we win?
Okay, this is funny because like whenever I get asked about it and that it was quite out there, I think about it, I'm like, man, mate, it probably wasn't it? But like like my career, so we used to have London Sevens and Sevens, we had Amsterdam Sevens. And at Amsterdam Sevens, a guy called Luke McAllister, who played a lot of time over in France and for the All Blacks. His sister was in the team, Kayla McAllister, really good friend of mine. And he popped up, and there weren't many Kiwis around. It was only a few hundred people, but we were around. And the first time I heard it was him, but we just used to do it everywhere. And if you wanted to see like how many Kiwis were there, or like who was around that you might know, you'd just go, "Do te mai nā iwi," and then every single Kiwi that could hear you would turn around and go, "Oh, where?" So then you'd be like, "Oh, there's like heaps of us here," or you'd be like, "Oh, I'm very much alone. Like I need to find," like it was kind of like a gauge. So we just been doing it for the longest time, but like maybe 20 people will sing back. So
Right.
like, so I've been doing it when the crowds were small. So I was like, hey, I'm going to do it when the crowds are sold out and see how many Kiwis want to sing back. And every single one of them wanted to. So it was absolutely wonderful. And I'm so glad I just randomly had that thought to do it.
You connect with people though, and we saw that back in 2016. I remember my colleague Jill Douglas did an interview with you post match that went viral because of your enthusiasm and your energy, and the same energy and enthusiasm that allows you to call Prince Charles bruv as well. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness, this is really, yeah, I'm reconsidering my life. No, I, I just try and, I just try and treat everybody the same. And, I think I would like to be treated the same. And I just, sometimes, it doesn't always connect. Sometimes I walk into a room and they're like, who the heck is this? Especially sometimes in traffic, that nobody wants any positivity. Some mornings when it's hectic and everyone's cutting everyone off, there's just no way that's going down. But I just try and, you know, choose love first in every situation, which is not always easy and not always wants to be my first choice, and treat everyone the same and hope that it's reciprocated, which everywhere I've gone here in BBC it has been. Like Jill was super cool. You guys are super cool, and I love it when people are like real, your stuff and you can still be you, which is like that's you and KDM and everyone on the panel, Maggie, so it's been so fun. And I do want to say thank you for welcoming me into your guys' world, because it's been such a crazy event. But like you guys give me little tips here and there, and I've grown heaps. And I am a little bit in awe of you guys behind the scenes. If anyone doesn't
Oh,
know,
you're
you guys are really like
you've been such a
super
great injection of
cool.
energy, and I just want to know what Prince Charles said when you said bruv to him.
Hey, I just thought that you'd get a lesson before you meet him. I thought
You'd
there'd be
think so, wouldn't you?
like, how you get briefing calls? We
Yeah.
didn't get none. We didn't get nothing. Like, so I was waiting in the room because doors kept opening in the castle, so we had to keep going through rooms. And I thought one of the rooms would be the practice room. And so we got to the last room with the elderflower champagne glasses, and the wall behind me opened, and I was like, and the king walked out, and I was just like, I haven't been given any lessons, so I'm just gonna have to do what I do with everybody and be as nice as I know how to be. And he didn't seem to mind, so it was lucky we didn't get thrown out. Like, jeebus.
But you get to do some extraordinary things in your life. That must be, one of the most surreal in a way, when you think about your childhood and how challenging that was. And rugby has taken you literally around the world, and you've seen different cultures. And I guess the confidence that you get from being a world beater helps in all of that. So tomorrow, the England Red Roses want to kind of right the wrongs of the last World Cup when they lost to you guys, and they want to try and keep that incredible record they've got going. I mean, they've lost one game in 63, which is just ridiculous. But this week, I don't know about you, Ruby, it feels to me that all the talk is that they are suddenly on the back foot and that Canada are the team in the ascent. And I never thought we'd get to a situation on the eve of a World Cup final where the Red Roses feel like they're the underdogs almost here.
It's a huge plot twist. It's actually an honor to be able to witness this moment in history. I feel like in sporting history to be this close, and I hope all of England and all the home nations know how close they are to like this huge moment. Like whatever happens, this is going to be huge. And I think, yeah, everybody assumed, including me, that England and New Zealand would be in the final and would get this, this big revenge game. Well, not revenge, but settle the score finally. And excuse me, we know each other's game quite well, and England would just have to do this. But there's been a huge plot change and a plot, thickener, which is Canada have quietly but certainly and surely been banging away at this new game plan that is just sensational to watch. Everybody loves it. And the last two times we played them, actually, we didn't win. They beat us for the first time in Christchurch, then we had a dramatic draw, but we actually couldn't slow it down enough. And so what is happening is Canada have a brand new, completely quick, like the flash, quick as the flash kind of style of rugby, which England, it's the opposite style to them. So they are very traditional. They're very good at all the traditional parts of the footy. So it's become this huge clash of not only cultures, not only,
styles
but
almost.
yeah, complete
Mm.
game-changing styles. And so I'm really, really looking forward to this. I don't know if I'd use the complete word underdogs. The question is like, are
Yeah, you're
you?
right. It's not an underdog, but it's just the balance of power maybe
Yeah,
is shifting.
completely. And it's
Mm.
going to be a very new test for England in a moment where they could do with no more variables. There's enough is kind of going on for the English Red Roses.
Well, I just we're on a WhatsApp group, obviously, with all our colleagues, and just before we spoke today, a message dropped to say that Canada had won the toss to choose the dressing room, and of course, psychology, they've gone and chosen England's home dressing room. Which, can you imagine how livid the Red Roses would be?
That is just, isn't that what we want though? A little bit of like, a little prick in another prick in the side there for the Red Roses. Like, it's oh my goodness. I don't think we ever actually made it into changing room one. So I'm like, oh, can't wait to see this content come out of what Canada doing there. Like, can you imagine? So
Yeah.
I love that. It's drama. It's right up under their skin. I wouldn't be surprised if Canada were like, oh, you can't wear white. Like. You got to wear the alternate kit even. So no, I think it's part of the drama. I hope it racks the English girls up. And you know what? I actually hope we see something we haven't seen from the Red Roses before ever.
Mm,
Some a magical play, or I could imagine that whole front row and the back line off a line out or
mm,
something special. Like I think
mm,
England, they're at a space where they know each other well enough where they can do something we've never seen before. I think it's going to be so super exciting. And it's not what will England do, it's can England. It's not what will Canada bring, it's can England stop it. They
mm,
saw, England Canada had to use all of their cards, shall we say, against New Zealand, and they well and truly blew us out the
mm,
park.
mm.
So now England have to go, okay, let's break this down. What do we change? What do we completely leave the same? And what do we just pull out of our back pocket that the world hasn't seen yet? So super, super mouth-watering stuff.
Because England, under their previous regime under Simon Middleton, were known for their Route One rugby, and scored a lot of their tries from driving mauls. And then there was kind of a movement towards flair in the Six
Mm,
Nations. Certainly, we saw that. And the backs were scoring the tries, and we
I
were
love
seeing the likes of Abby Dow and Ellie Kildun and Jess Breach scoring great tries. The back three were amazing. And then against Scotland, and certainly, I think we saw last weekend as well. We saw them kind of revert a little bit to type one, didn't we? It doesn't matter though, does it, Ruby? If you win the World Cup, you can be as dull as dishwater. You can play the most attritional rugby you like because you're going to lift that trophy. It's not about style on Saturday, is it?
win by an inch or a mile, 1 point or 100. A win is a win, and that's all they will need. The thing, the thing about traditional rugby that England is so good at, though, is Canada don't want to play like that. So it's completely to England's favour that they play like that right now against Canada. Like New Zealand couldn't slow that down. I think England will be able to. I think they'll be able to stop momentum a lot better than New Zealand did last weekend. So the fact that England's kind of foundational, you're right, Route One footy is so strong, absolute strength for them going into this weekend, because France don't have that. We're working on that, but New Zealand doesn't quite have it like that. But England just will always have that. So
Mm,
Canada are going to go, we don't want to play there. We will do absolutely anything we can to not go there. The other thing is, because Canada hardly have a ruck, like 1 second ruck, it's hardly a ruck. They keep the ref out of the game. But if England can, bring Moors and bring those things, Canada are going to have to dip into the discipline game again. And we
mhm,
actually saw a massive snippet of that at the end, the last 5 minutes of the semi. New Zealand were bringing them in, forcing them to be on the back foot with that stuff, and Canada were penalised like
mm,
more in 5 minutes than they were in the last like 3 games.
mm.
So I think England will be looking at that, thinking about that, and I don't know. They might score a couple of standard tries we've seen before, but I think they're just going to do something different as well. Like instead of mauling at the front, they might do it like a dummy maul in the middle, then a maul at the back. Like I think they're going to change it up and be a little bit more tricky than we've seen them. And I loved the flair that the Red Roses brought in that Six Nations you're alluding to. That actually made me worry a lot, because I was like, wow, this Red Roses team, if they want to, they can actually play all kinds of rugby. And if your wingers are scoring tries after a lot of running rugby, your game plan's working, and it's exactly what they were doing. So, like I said, I just think it's not, if Canada come out and bring what they're doing and play their footy, they will win. But if England play to the potential they have, and they have 23 of the world's best, they should
Mm,
strongly, confidently win. So it's just that pressure thing, you know, little bit of tactics as well, tricky big calls, one more line out, what do we do? We've got midfield scrum, what move are we choosing? Those are going to be huge moments. And like we saw at the semi against Canada, New Zealand made one mistake, Canada were all over them. And just, that
mhm,
first 20 minutes, Canada just completely blew
mm,
everybody out of the park. So England will have to control the momentum of that first 20. Canada are going to want to speed it up and not let England chase them. And that last 20 to me, that last 20 minutes with a bench like the Red Roses have, I think they have the advantage of the last
mm,
nudge. So it's the controlling of that tempo in the first 20. And we've seen the Red Roses completely, undoubtedly trust their bench. Canada, not so
mm,
much. They brought their number 23 on with 2 minutes to go last week.
mm,
Only, and they go 6-2. So they basically have one back that they'll use, which is Apps. They're going to try and run their forwards off the park. So whoever empties the tank the best in that first half, which will be so exciting for the likes of you and I and every other person watching, because they're going to try and win it in that first. It's like if you were watching Gladiators, they're not saving nothing for
mm.
no one. They're sprinting at each other
Yeah,
100 miles an hour.
heavyweight boxer who just wants to go for the lethal blow early on. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So it is absolutely lining up to be the game of the decade.
It is. And you want it to be the game of the tournament, the final that's going to have the most eyeballs on it, the most people in the stadium. On that, do you think there's an advantage for England that they have played at Twickenham with a 50,000 crowd before, maybe not an 82,000, but Canada have not played in a stadium with that kind of cacophony of noise and expectation. And it takes some getting used to, doesn't it, walking out at the Allianz?
I think that's why I can't quite call the Red Roses the underdogs, because they've been in the Twickenham many, many times. I remember for London Sevens we came out to warm up and it was sold out, and we were screaming at each other, face like literally 10 centimeters away from each other's face, and we couldn't hear. Like if the crowd get it right in terms of support for the Red Roses, it's going to be a very difficult day for Canada. And I remember even at the last World Cup, every time we made a break, the crowd would erupt, and you can't help but be like, "Whoa! What about when we made a break?" Like it's going to be a huge factor, and I really hope Canada are prepared. You might have to do some kind of sign languages. Some calls you're going to have to just know, and you won't
Mm,
even be able to call them. So it's going to be really, really big, the atmosphere when we get out there, the emotion of the anthems. You have to level yourself. I think Canada are going to have to look at the likes of Sophie de Goody, who I don't know if anybody saw the difference, but she wasn't really celebrating anything. A
no.
lot of the other players, Tessia,
Mm.
they were running
She was
around.
cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, so I think they're going to have to lean on those players who emotionally understand you cannot let that in
Mm.
before that whistle blows, which is very difficult to do and very tempting. So little mistakes, and if the
Mm.
crowd erupts, you've got to drop it.
I
Which
mean, the
is so hard
French
to do.
last week, half of them were in tears during the anthems, weren't they? Which you thought, you're a bit emotional here, and this can be quite draining.
Honestly, I can't comment on the French. They're just so the opposite of what you would imagine. Like that's one team that I would love to just be a fly on the wall. Like, what do they say to each other? They want to score tries that are just the most
Impossible.
exciting, impossible. Yeah, exactly. So, but you're right. They get, if you let that emotion in, it is a lot harder to not only settle yourself, but be able to connect easily and quickly with your teammates. So yeah, Canada have to be able to get back down, homeostasis, call clear, calm and collected calls, and stay right in that moment and not let the hugeness of talking to get to them.
Mm,
England, however, obviously can't get too over aroused, right, and let that go too early, to be able to stay as one right up until their bench come on. Because when the bench comes on, you've got to regroup and regather again. So it's just this. I guess that's why we love human sports so much, because the emotion is undoubtedly a factor. And
mm,
to me, in those moments, what always comes out is all those little conversations you've ever had with a teammate. Did they respect you in the changing room when you saw them do something? Did you hit them up? And if you've had those, they're cultural thermometers to me. If those conversations were not fixed or talked about, it comes out in the final. When you need somebody to get up, look you in the eye, and say, "I'm ready," sometimes they are hesitant to do so. So I think we're going to also get a display of whose culture has cracked it the most, and who's
Mm.
actually at each other's back in the small moments, because it all comes out in the big moments.
Ruby, you have set that up beautifully, and I'm already kind of feeling the tingle ahead of what is going to be a monumental and historic afternoon. So I can't wait to share the afternoon with you. Thank you so much for coming on the Sports Agents. And when are you actually going to fly out of the country? We're going to get to keep you for a week longer, or are you heading back home straight away?
I think some of the Black Ferns girls have organised a bit of a dabble over in the Greek islands, so I think
Oh,
we're all
nice. You're going to
gonna.
join in with that.
I've never been, so any
Okay.
recommendations, you let me know. But hey, Gabby, thank you so much for having me on. Honestly, I've loved working beside you, learning off you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and honestly, I'm a little bit happy. I'm a bit of a neutral, and I'm sitting there because you guys are going to be absolutely edgy as seat. You might have no nails left, and I'm just going to enjoy the show. So I'm absolutely looking forward to this.
Can't wait. Thank you so much, Ruby, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.